Hi everybody, Rook here. We might just be meeting for the first time, or maybe you've been following here or on Twitch. Still, it is so good to see you. This year, I had the honor of attending Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker Media Tour, and now that I can finally share our coverage with you, I can't wait to jump into everything. You can find my full playlist of the Media Tour coverage here on YouTube. You can also find me live, day of embargo, talking about this on Twitch. And as a side note with that, I am still at the time of release, so today, here, embargo day, going by the name Bird of Chess Online. But we actually have an upcoming rebrand to Rookuri very soon, so please look forward to it. With that said, let's get started on my general impressions of the 2021 Endwalker Media Tour. Quick note, any and all footage that you see here or in any of my other videos is in development and subject to change. I've had a lot of people ask me, what is the Media Tour? Which is totally fair. We have a lot of new players and even old players who don't really know what all of us have been yelling about on Twitter. The Media Tour is an event that Square Enix hosts for media, press, people who are going to be writing up articles or previews, as well as a select group of content creators to all get together and demo a preview of the upcoming expansion, in this case, Endwalker. Because of current world events, we weren't able to meet in person this year, so the entire media tour was actually conducted online, and the staff were so helpful. Honestly, I was nervous for like 2 weeks before the event. I was so worried. I kept thinking, what if our internet goes out? What if the entire power goes out, like for all of our block in the city? What if I get into it and it turns out that everything that I thought I had set up for it is just all wrong because I somehow managed to be the person that constantly is cursed to break technology at all times. Playing together though, even though we were remote, which obviously isn't as great as being in person, I would have loved to see everybody. We got to all be there together in a digital space, and it was so wonderful to get to play together, journey through the new zones together, spot a hump mark and go running towards it. Just such a good reminder of what it is to be connected to this community and game, especially in a year when we were supposed to have a fan fest and we weren't able to because of the pandemic. I also want to just say really fast a huge thank you to Square Enix for sending out a media kit, so a press kit that came to us during all of this, which actually did kind of give me a bit of that feeling of being in person again. I'm wearing the jacket right now, but we also got this moon and other little things that said in the kit, we know that we can't meet in person this year, but know that we really wish we could, and we hope that you enjoy these items. Maybe, well, we can't be together. It was so sweet. Yoshida-san actually, during his presentation, right before his presentation, requested that we thank the healthcare workers that have made treatment and vaccination possible around the world for the pandemic. It's definitely something that you can tell from obviously having to do this digitally, also to the media kit, to the presentation and everything that we experienced that day. It's something that's affected so much of our lives, and fighting this, combating this, trying to save as many lives as possible is something that is no mean feat. He himself said that he's really grateful that the game has been a space for so many to spend time in, even during quarantine, and to bring people together, but that none of it would have been possible. They wouldn't even be able to have an expansion coming up if it weren't for the people that had worked so hard and are still working hard every single day to see us through this pandemic, oftentimes at great personal cost to their own mental health and personal lives. So a huge thank you to all of our healthcare workers, because honestly, having this expansion to look forward to this year, I don't know about the rest of you, but it has been a huge highlight in an otherwise fairly dark time, as has just being with all of you, playing our games together and getting to enjoy them. So it's a group effort. We all do our part, but in particular, those healthcare professionals just do a whole lot more. Whole lot more. After this sort of precursor, Yoshida-san went into the actual presentation that we got to see. We'll be going over all of this in detail live on Twitch day of the embargo, so today. So look for the VOD or upload here on YouTube, because I will put it up afterwards if you want all the specific details. Overall, my big takeaways. Yoshida-san said, over 24 million players worldwide are now playing Final Fantasy XIV. The game now has become the most profitable Final Fantasy in the entire series. It is an enormous success, is what he said. And they're going to spare no expense with their investments in the future in regards to Final Fantasy XIV. And hey, everybody, good job. Proud of you. Because, you know, we played no small part in that. Whether you were a player from 1.0 to 2.0 who hung in there, whether you were somebody who just recommended the game to a friend, whether you were somebody who came in while I was streaming and said, hey, I picked up the game because of it, whatever it is, the passion that has gone into this game, the foundation the developers have laid for us, the incredible work that has made this story that is unforgettable, that has made so many fights and just, gosh, musical scores and everything that I think so many of us think of so fondly, gave us the foundations to build on. And so many of the players have really honestly spread the good word, just to be honest, in a way that I think only speaks to the constant sort of cycle. A good community, a good game, a good place to be. So congrats everyone, we did it! Most profitable Final Fantasy ever! So proud of us! In regards to Endwalker itself, Yoshida-san did also have some more information. I always call him Yoshida-san because I feel like if one day Yoshi P ever saw my videos, I would feel very disrespectful if he caught me being like, Yoshi! So we stay informal. Yoshida-san did give us more information about Endwalker as well. Endwalker is going to conclude Final Fantasy XIV's first saga, The Tale of Hydaelyn and Zodiark, but the game's not over by any means. 6.1 onwards will begin and then continue our new story. When the expansion is done, that's it. We got this huge expansion, and then we're going to be starting the next arc. We're going to see what's happening. It's going to be supposedly a story through many worlds, and they want to provide the players surprises, revelations, and innovation. They want to challenge themselves with new story after this. And Yoshida-san has said that, he's just really excited about that. Not only the things that we're going to discover in Endwalker itself, but also beyond this, and that there are so many things they really want to do to push the boundaries of their storytelling. He also said that you might let your speculation run wild with certain dialogue lines in Endwalker, and that you should pay special attention to the climax and look forward to the future after it. So mysterious. One of the things that I was really, really pumped to hear is that he says that it is bigger than a modern packaged RPG. It's going to be their largest expansion to date, including being bigger both in just story and then also playable content. After the presentation, we were allowed to get our hands on the actual gameplay in the demo, and I'm gonna have to do another quick disclaimer, there's gonna be a lot of these. Downscaling, so again, adjusting the actual numbers and values that appear on the screens from health pools to damage to everything, is something they've talked a lot about with the live letters and different things, so I won't get too much into it myself. But downscaling plus the actual pre-build nature of all of this footage and the footage that you'll see from the media tour means that it's really difficult to get a grasp on how this will all come together without playing it yourself. And there's a lot of things that are still going to be changing, so don't panic over numbers at this stage. Don't get too worried about anything or too worked up about anything, because honestly, it is a big work in progress, and we don't actually know how it all fits into context yet with all the downscaling values. We were able to explore Old Sharlayan, the new city hub, Thavnair, a new zone map, Garlemald, a new zone map, interesting, and a dungeon, the Tower of Zot, which is the level 81 dungeon, so it's one of the first ones you'll be getting into. We were allowed to explore zones, do fates, preview the artifact gear, try out class changes, we could run the dungeon, we could do it with trusts as well, and we even found a hunt mark in Thavnair, which killed us many times. To begin with the new zones, I loaded first into Old Sharlayan. Honestly, I could have spent days there. The details in the city are breathtaking. They are unbelievable. It is such a detailed environment. And if you are somebody who loves lore in the game, there is so very much of it to be found. So much, in fact, that I did an entire video of it. You can go check out my Old Sharlayan city tour here in the media tour playlist. So go watch that. It's up now on YouTube. There are tons of buildings you can go into. All the locations have really interesting names, sort of related to Greek mythology and or terminology and or philosophy. The music is just perfectly understated, relaxing with these emotional swells. It just sends your heart soaring. It's just amazing. Honestly, I love a lot of the cities in the game, but Old Sharlayan kind of takes it to a new level. It's magical. It's magical. After that, I went into Thavnair. I have just loved everything we've seen of Thavnair so far. It has been so exciting to me. I think it is just gorgeous, and even though some people seem to have their doubts about the color schemes, I was over here like, make your fantasy world more vibrant. I think you should. If it's fantasy, take it to big levels. And I am so happy to report that honestly, it's more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. The color palette is adventurous, yes, but not even so much so when you look at many real portions of the world where cultures use that color palette frequently. It's a feast for the eyes. You fly around and everything is just stunning. There's so many details. Again, all these zones just have such a different feel. It's so vibrant. All the times of day are a treat, including the starry sky overhead that kind of reminds me of the Azim Steppe. And the architecture is so distinctive compared to other parts of the world. It really feels like you are going somewhere new and exploring new horizons, which is a huge victory. After that, Garlemald. Yeah, it's real messed up, everybody. It's incredibly messed up. No duct tape's gonna fix that. It's really in trouble. It's really in trouble. It is a haunting landscape. And it's a zone, so it's an explorable zone, although it itself was a city. And it seems as though in the wake of the Garlean Civil War, obviously some very bad things have happened. But it is a haunting landscape, reminiscent of some of the pictures you see of, to be quite honest, nuclear sites, things like that. Deserted rubble, empty streets, swings that are just sort of blowing in the breeze in front of a scene of absolute devastation. It was somebody's intention. And between these three zones, looking at them, right, I won't go too much into Garlemald. There's going to be a whole other video about the rise and fall of the Garlean Empire, as well as the city itself, here on YouTube that I've done, so go watch that for more really specific details about this map. All three of these zones, as a culmination, are just such a testament to the skill and variety that I think we're going to see with Endwalker. One of the things that, don't get me wrong, I think completely fits thematically with Shadowbringers was the fact that so many of the zones felt similar in a sense. Of course, there are some big standouts, but because this was a world that was bleached dry by the flood of light, because this is a world that's literally been sucked of all of its diversity of life and flora and fauna and just been devastated, a lot of the world reflected that. Whereas we very much in Endwalker are in a world that is still vibrant and alive and worth fighting for. And each of these zones offers a distinctive and unique feel, from the color palettes to the music that's set behind it to the actual kind of environments and characters that, although we didn't get any, information about quests or things that you can kind of see bustling around, they all feel so diverse and so different, and they are going to be a real treat to explore. Good zones aside, the real news I know you're all looking for and the real impressions I know you're all hoping to get are about the real end game. Glamour. The glamour is, I'm happy to report, mostly awesome. It's actually, it is gorgeous. The new artifact gear that we were able to preview, it is intricate, it is detailed. Each look has something that feels very iconic to the class itself. There were maybe only a couple that I was kind of on the fence about. Otherwise, everything else, I just went, I look good in that. That's cute. That's cute. That's beautiful. I could punch someone with that. It's very good. It's very good. We have a video showing all of those, as well as with detail shots and a comparison of which gear sets do or don't have visible headpieces for Viera. So if you're a bun like me or thinking about going boy bun, be sure to look for those videos here on YouTube. The character customization we were able to go into through Fantasia's, and it didn't seem like there was anything really massive in there or overhauled as far as I could see. There is new stubble, just regular facial stubble, not weirdly hyper-sculpted facial here, but it's only for here. It's only for here, so Midlanders and Highlanders will be able to get it. My Elizin RP character is still just gonna have to go cry in the corner. And there weren't any new hairstyles or things that I could find for Viera, but again, go watch those videos. I'll be breaking it down much more and discussing a lot of this in those. I did try to apply glamour out in the field, still couldn't, unfortunately. Alas. Which brings us to new jobs. For my job gameplay, I mostly focused on new classes, overhauled classes, my favorite classes, and healers, which I made in endgame content. For in-depth looks at how these classes feel and what changes there are comparing tooltips, check out my job videos for the 10 classes that I was able to play. These classes were Reaper, Sage, Astrologian, White Mage, Scholar, Summoner, Red Mage, Bard, Dancer, and Paladin. I really wanted to do Monk as well, I just didn't have time. But from the quick little glimpses, right, my quick little recaps, Sage and Reaper have so very much going on. So very much. Complexity on those classes, really taking it to a new level. In the sense that at least compared to where we are currently with balance and the way that they've trimmed down different, other classes over time, these ones really have a lot going on. There is so much. Reaper was a little bit more, fluid for me to get into. I felt like I picked up at least the base concept of the rotation fairly quickly if you're somebody who's curious about that, but that there was still a lot of room for me to figure out how to finesse and really get good at it. Sage was just like, what is happening? I pulled that class up and it's like every ability does 5 different things or has 5 different abilities. And you sit there looking at it like, am I decoding? Is this the Da Vinci Code? How much? And then that puts how many shield? But then when it run out, and then if that field is on this person. So if you really like to dig into a class, if you really like something that is going to, I think, have a high skill ceiling, I have a feeling that Sage is going to be that for you. But again, you can find my actual detailed analysis in our YouTube video breakdown of both Sage and Reaper. Summoner is so fun. It's everything I wanted Summoner to be. At long last, it's a real Summoner. It's a real one. It's a real boy. It does the thing. You don't have to worry about dots. The thing is so good. The animations are amazing. It's great. 10 out of 10, would Summoner again and probably will. For the first time ever, I really want to do it. And again, I hope you enjoy the new footage and you can see some of the abilities and some of the hype over on that YouTube video for it. Overall, I think a lot of the classes got good quality of life changes. I think just basic things they're building on really makes sense and I think will be big helps with those classes. New skill additions also feel like a good fit. They extend out various combos or like do a perfect little top to them that's just so satisfying. It's so excellent. That final thing, that big Rose Nado on Red Mage, that it's just excellent. Sorry, white mages, but also, okay, I'm sorry. Not sorry, white mages. Sorry to everybody else. Because everybody else is going to have to be dealing with the fact that we no longer just holy, now we also... Now we holy on a scale that is just so ridiculous that even I couldn't see anything, and my eyes are attuned to the holy spam. I know how to look through it and I couldn't see anything. The one class that I do think I currently have the most questions about is Scholar. And I was really hoping that getting my hands on it, there might be a bit more that would make sense about what was happening to it. And that there might be some things that were nuances that we didn't just see. In my Scholar video, you'll be able to hear more. I just really hope that what we saw was not final and subject to change. It is all subject to change. Anything that you might see in any job videos of any coverage is not final and could drastically alter by the time this is out. So again, I encourage everybody not to worry too much or get too upset. Overall, everything really did look good, felt good, played really great. Bard even! Some little changes and some nice new buffs on Bard that I think really made a world of difference. There's a lot of things that I think really will enhance your overall just experience with jobs, including as well some of the leveling stuff that they're doing to just make it much more streamlined, to get all of your alt jobs leveled up without it being nearly as much of a hassle. More details on that in my Twitch live talk covering everything that Yoshida-san presented to us in that beginning presentation. The final thing that I got to do during the media tour was the new dungeon, the Tower of Zot. This is a level 81 dungeon. It's inspired by Final Fantasy IV. No, the inside is not golden. Sorry, everybody. But it does have the Magus sisters in there. More insight on the design mechanics and our first run in my Tower of Zot videos. I actually really liked the new dungeon. I had an incredible time running through it. I got to do my first run actually with Jahara, Chili, and then a new friend from a media outlet. We all went in together, we yelled, we screamed, we died a bunch. I have to say, the tuning for healers felt very exciting. Very exciting. It's spicy meatball. It's so spicy in there. That last fight, it could have been a little bit of the lag we were dealing with. It could have been, I think it is just because it's such a high pace, lots of AoEs, all kinds of overlapping things. You are just going ham with. Those new abilities that are movement abilities for classes are going to be so satisfying to use, and just the huge heals or shields that you have also make such a big difference. It felt like for the first time in like a beginning dungeon in an expansion that I actually was having to robustly use my endgame kit from the last expansion. So that was something that I found really exciting as far as a healing standpoint went. Maybe those of you who will find something like that stressful, you know, taking a class on the first dungeon run, that's going to give you a little more mobility. But again, more tips, tricks on that in the video. I had just honestly one of the most memorable times of my life playing through the media tour demo with everybody. Final Fantasy XIV only continues to blow away my expectations of what an MMORPG with a focus on the RPG element can accomplish in storytelling, artistic design, lore, and combat. This is a special game, fam. And whether you are a new player, an old player, or you're a returning player, this is the perfect time for you to close out this current chapter with us and start a new one as we all look forward to the future of Final Fantasy XIV. I hope that you all similarly enjoy your time in Endwalker as we bring 10 years of phenomenal storytelling to a close and look forward to this dawn of a new narrative. Be sure to like, subscribe, watch through all my in-depth media tour coverage here and on Twitch. And as a reminder, in case you forgot or you don't have a clock set up for it, Endwalker releases November 23rd, 2021, with early access starting November 19th. Huge thank you to Square Enix for inviting me to the media tour this year. Enjoy all the content, enjoy all the hype leading up to the expansion, and walk tall, my friends.